Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Thursday morning. It's great to be back with you all again here early. Grab a cup of coffee. It's time for the Friedman Adventurers morning briefing. Hey, good morning, everybody. We've got a lot of stuff to talk to you about. A 72-pound white sea bass, huge bluefin tuna biting, good yellowtail fishing south of the border, and wind on the horizon one more time. Let me take you down to Laredo, Baja California, because my friend Andrew Deal and his brother Phil are down there, and they just finished up their trip. They had 5 more yellowtail fishing out around Isla Coronado down there in Laredo. It's a beautiful area to fish, and both those guys were just overwhelmed by the sheer beauty of Baja California. And Laredo has got to be one of my most favorite Baja destinations. It has that feel of a small Mexican town. At the same time, there is so much bird life and mammal life and fish life. The ocean, the Sea of Cortez is alive, and they had some good fishing. And as we progress on into the season, you'll see dorado and billfish and everything else move in there. It could get really, really good. All right, we're going to go to San Diego now. Okay, let's talk about the overnight fleet, because the San Diego, the San Diego had an incredible day yesterday. But the overnight fleet still doing very well. Most of those guys are getting limits of fish. It seems to me like we're starting to see a lot bigger fish now moving in. You've got that 40 to 80 pound stuff, and then you've got even fish bigger than that. And I mean much bigger than that. For the most part, it's been flat falls and the knife jigs, all of that stuff. We've been suggesting 100 to 200 grams, but now you might want to bump that up a little bit and even fish 300 grams, because as I say, we are seeing a lot of big fish. Now, great fishing on the overnight fleets, the day and a halves. There's nighttime bites, there's daytime bites. When you're fishing during the daytime, a lot of times those fish will go on the fly line, but the sinker rig has been more effective than anything else here recently. The sinker rig is working really well. And at this point in time, we had been talking about 30 to 40 pound fluorocarbon. You got to be thinking 2-speed reel and 80 pound. You really, really do. And the reason why is because of what happened on board the San Diego, the boat that leaves at 6 a.m., gets back in at 6 p.m. out of Seaforth Sport Fishing. They have a reputation of a professional crew, and they always seem to be into the fish, and it's well-deserved because it is true. And yesterday was one of the best days they've ever seen fishing big tuna, and that says volumes, speaks volumes, because those guys have been in some incredible bites here over the years, but this one yesterday was one to marvel at. They had from 1 to 6 fish going all the time. They were in a 6-hour drift, fishing for 6 hours with 1 to 6 fish going during that whole time. They covered 4 miles and had fish on them the entire time. They ended up with 24 130 to 170 pound bluefin tuna, and that's about as good as it gets. Did they stop biting? Well, not exactly. The guys just threw in the towel due to exhaustion. These fish really beat the hell out of these guys. What a bite. What a tremendous bite. And when you think now that this is accessible on these day trips, my God almighty, you have got to go tackled up, because this is incredible fishing. I keep talking about how blessed we are to have this kind of fishing, and it's beyond that. We've never seen fishing like this in Southern California. It's 100 years ago since anything like this happened, and I'm not even as sure that it was this good. This is so darn good. And in normal bites, you have these down days. Like when you're fishing albacore, you'll go out there and get 100 plus on every single boat, and the next day, nothing. Down day. Fish move, they put their nose in the mud. That's a term that means they're just off the bite for some reason. But this bluefin has shown great consistency and continues to bite, and what a day on the San Diego. Other boats, day boats, had decent fishing, but this definitely was the apex of the bite back on Wednesday. It was a tremendous bite, and for sure, a lot of those fish now in that 200 to 300 grams. You can still bring the hundreds, but you got to have a 2-speed, and they have 3-speed reels now, and they're even more awesome than you could ever imagine. I mean, Darren Doe, he was on our podcast the other night, Tuesday Night Live, and Darren said that 3-speed reel, when you put it in the extra low gear, it will just work a fish right up. He's seen it work. He loves it. So if you got the money and you want to spend it, those 3-speed reels seem to be working really, really well. Wow. what a bite, and it really is amazing. I don't know anything that can slow this thing down unless we get some wind. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Coronado Islands, few yellowtails zooming around there, but still nothing really good. I talked to my friend Sean Hardigan, who's keeping tabs on it from the Mission Bell. He wasn't out there. He was doing Coast Guard. But Sean said conditions are trying to clean up there. There are a few more yellowtail being taken, but it's still not really significant what is going on there. San Clemente Island, the Thunderbird was there today, got chased out by the Navy. They have been getting some good signal there with some sea bass and yellows and all kinds of activity. It was a slower day, but they didn't get a chance because of the Navy throwing them out of there. So once again, the Thunderbird with Jeff Markland. There's another crew. There's another boat that has just a magnificent reputation, all well-deserved. Got to get Markland down here for another podcast. Maybe this Tuesday. It looks like it's going to be pretty breezy, so we'll see if we can't get Jeff on because he's an outstanding guy. And our chef, Jason, who does all our cooking segments, he was out there. Didn't get one of the few fish that were caught, but he said he loved the boat, loved the crew, and absolutely raved about the professionalism on board. Let's talk about Alan Watson. Have you heard of Alan? He runs a boat called the Dreamer. When Alan was a small boy, his father took him on a white sea bass trip, and it was the first sea bass trip Alan had ever been on. They caught a beautiful sea bass, and Alan's father gave him an obsidian knife. Alan plunged it in to the chest of this freshly caught white sea bass, and he extracted the beating heart and consumed every bit of it, licking his chops afterwards. And since that time, Alan has been on a quest to catch giant white sea bass. And it just so happens that yesterday, out of Long Beach sport fishing, Alan Watson and the Dreamer had limits of white sea bass, 6 anglers, 6 white sea bass, and one of those fish weighed a whopping, maybe the biggest one I've heard on a sport boat so far this year, 72 pounds. 72-pound white sea bass for Alan Watson. Boy, you better grab an obsidian knife and run out and start slicing up white sea bass when they're caught. Really, really an excellent, huge fish, one to marvel at, and one of the biggest ones we've heard caught on sport boats. I know some private boaters have had some up there in the 76-pound range, but all those guys keep a lid on it. I'm sworn to secrecy by many of those yachts that fish Catalina and other areas, but this is one of the biggest, and hats off to Alan Watson. What a catch. The Pride, he had halibut, he had sea bass, he had yellowtail. Where he's fishing is a big secret, even though I know where it is, but I will not say anything because I don't want Sean Roberts to kick the door down and start screaming at me. So they had a few sea bass, few yellowtail, few halibut, trifecta, and the Pride's been doing really, really well at an undisclosed location. So we'll keep our eyes on it, see what happens. Freedom back at it again. Tino Valentine, my good friend, is going to be back out where he's going to be fishing. Nobody knows. There's a few venues that are biting. We get a weather break right now, so he's got a good shot at it, and hopefully he'll come through with some fish. Those guys a lot of times start out in the morning, like right now, Thursday morning, fishing dropper loop with heavy line, 60-pound, and then as the day and the sunlight comes up, you can start fishing a sliding egg sinker, big hook, 5/0 hook, and again, if you have enough squid, you get to fish with the squid or the fresh jet, and that has been working really well. We've seen some really good halibut fishing, some good sea bass fishing, some good yellowtail fishing. Hopefully tomorrow is going to be another really, really good day. The Pride, I believe, is on a day-and-a-half trip, so they'll fish till dark. I suspect they're going to get into some really, really good fishing. Things are looking up. All right, along the coast, we continue to pick off a few barracuda here and there. In fact, up in the Channel Islands today, I think it was the Island Tech, had a couple of gar. There's been some gar down south. Not a lot, just a little bit of barracuda, calico bass, sand bass, that kind of a thing, but not a whole lot. That is still coming together. We're going to take a step backwards here in a few days, by the way. Up in the Channel Islands, Island Tech had a white sea bass and 2 barracuda, the Aloha Spirit, 2 halibut. CJ, 9 guys, 4 white sea bass. I was predicting much better white sea bass fishing because we did get a little break in the weather up there. But boy, I'll tell you, it has been so breezy. Those poor guys in the Channel Islands, I feel really bad for them because they've had some really great fishing. You look at the Endeavor up there out of Ventura sport fishing, and there's been just great fishing up there when they can get out, but getting out has been the hard part. And remember, they fish those sea bass in such a fun way. Run and gun. They run, shut down, drop baits, hang some fish, get them on the boat, run again on another spot. It is fun fishing. Other times they do fish dropper loop, but right now it looks like we've got some weather heading our way. We'll talk about that right now. All right, so we're looking down towards San Diego. It's going to get a little breezy down there Friday night. It looks fishable, though. I think they're going to be fine down in that neck of the woods. And what a bite that was on the San Diego. Does it get any better than that? I don't think so. Magnificent fishing, no question about that. And then as we move up to Catalina Island, let's talk about that. Going to get very breezy. It probably will remain fishable on Saturday, perhaps on Sunday. I think you'll be able to get it in. Monday, Tuesday are going to be a disaster. It's going to be really blowing. And San Clemente Island, Santa Barbara Island, if anybody happens to be fishing there, and up there in the Channel Islands where those boys have been fishing, it's going to get pretty breezy Friday night, continuing on Saturday, and then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It just looks like we're going to take another big step backwards. And it's not just the wind on the day that it occurs, it's what it does to the ocean's environment. We talked about that a lot, but it's worth reiterating. It knocks the water temperatures down, it dirties the water up, and fish, surface fish, well, like sea bass and yellows and even halibut to a lesser degree, they just go off the bite. They get lockjaw, you get that drop in water temp, and the fish are like, whoa, it is freaking cold and I'm not hungry anymore. So you do get some of that, and we do have that on the horizon. Tomorrow looks like Friday that we might be able to get some fishing in here today, Thursday. We'll see. I think guys are going to do okay. Looks like the Pride should have decent enough weather, Freedom, and we'll be waiting for reports. Wouldn't surprise me to see some really good fishing. All right. Hey, don't forget, we're on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. We have a couple of great events coming up. May the 15th, you're going to want to come down to Recreation Park to the Casting Pond on 7th Street in Long Beach, California from 8 to 11 in the morning. Come on out. If you're a beginner, we'll show you how to cast for accuracy and distance. You can up your game a lot if you're an intermediate, and if you're one of the big bad pros, you can chuck the iron as far as you can and see if you're going to be crowned the king of the Friedman Adventurers Day. Guys from 540 Slingers, Jeff Yeoman, Danny, and a lot of other great guys, Daniel, so many wonderful guys who love that sport so much and the fine art of throwing an iron. They're going to be there to help you out. And so will Sam De La Torre from Island Fishing Tackle in beautiful Carson, California. He'll be there with his staff helping out. And then afterwards, we're going to go right over to Scholb's and see Chef Jason. We'll be over there from 11:30 in the morning until we end up, and we'll have some raffles over there. Jason has great food, cold beer, hot coffee, whatever it is you want, you'll be able to do it. Still have some room on our May 22nd trip out of Ventura Sport Fishing. If you'd like to join us, just send me a text and I'll send you the list and how you can sign up. You sign up with me and then we'll see you on board for a great trip. That's the Island Spirit leaving at 6 a.m., fishing till 5 p.m. We're going to focus on white sea bass. If that doesn't happen, we'll back it up with rockfish. We will try to have live squid on board. All right, it's a beautiful Thursday morning. There is so much going on. Will the San Diego get into those big fish again today? That's a question mark that looms, and you need to bring some much heavier tackle. Alan Watson running around with an obsidian knife. Thank God it's only white sea bass, and he's not doing what the Aztecs used to do. And will there be a sea bass bite in the Channel Islands? We'll answer all those questions as the day goes on. We thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you with another morning briefing tomorrow morning. Take care, my friend.